Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian Donnelly. I'm an expert in distilled spirits with 9 years experience in the alcoholic beverage industry, and my goal is to educate consumers more about the alcoholic beverages they enjoy so they can make better shopping and drinking decisions. Today I'm going to talk about Mijenta Tequila. I have the Silver, the Reposado, the Cristalino, and the Gran Reserva Añejo. I'm going to give a brief backstory about the brand. I'm going to talk through each product individually. I'm going to taste each product and compare the official tasting notes from the brand from what I think these products taste like. And then finally, I'm going to be comparing the average retail price in my home market and let you guys know if I think these products are worth the money. Let's get into it. So what is the Mijenta brand? Well, the name Mijenta is a riff on mi gente, or my people in Spanish, la gente being the people. First of all, it's an additive-free tequila from the Los Altos region of Jalisco. And Los Altos is often translated or anglicized as the Highlands when talking about growing regions for agaves used for tequila. And second, it's the first tequila brand to receive a B-Corp certification. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. And the goal of the brand is to bring people together. And I'm going to read their kind of mission statement. So Mijenta delivers a version of what tequila should be: complex, balanced, and gastronomic. Referencing some notes from the brand, I'm going to be reading a kind of long-form overview of the brand. Mijenta Tequila uses only the best ingredients, including 100% fully mature Blue Weber agave from the highlands of Jalisco, also known as Los Altos, and a very meticulous process to create an authentic, additive-free spirit that captures the unique terroir of the region. From the outset, we had a deep commitment to environmental sustainability and giving back to the local community. We're proud to be the first tequila producer to receive B Corp certification, which is a powerful validation of our desire to have a positive, lasting impact on the planet and our communities. We are also woman-led, from our co-founder and sustainability director, Alisa Som, to our maestra tequilera. Mijenta was awarded the 2023 prestigious Outstanding Spirits Producer and Agave Producer of the Year trophies by the International Wine and Spirits Competition. All right, there are 4 pillars that make up the Mijenta brand, and that's sustainable, community, artisanal, and authentic. And I'm going to talk through each of those individually. So, sustainable. Mijenta takes a holistic approach to sustainability, seeking a positive impact across the product's life cycle, including using eco-friendly packaging, supporting responsible agriculture, and working with like-minded partners. Mijenta is fully carbon neutral, including our products. Next is community. Mijenta works hand in hand with local businesses and partners with like-minded organizations to provide support to communities. Next is artisanal. Using only the best ingredients in a meticulous process, Mijenta is crafted with passion and precision while remaining rooted in traditional techniques. And lastly, authentic, a very dangerous world, especially within the agave category. Using fully mature Blue Weber agave, slowly cooked for many hours and fermented using special yeast, Mijenta is carefully distilled to preserve all of its rich flavors. All right, the first product is their Silver. And this product actually comes in a beautiful cardboard shipping box, but for the sake of this tasting, I took all the bottles out of their shipping boxes. So here is what this label looks like. Beautiful packaging. All right, looking at the bottle I have, this product is NOM 1499, and it is prepared by Casa Tequilero de Arandas in Arandos, Jalisco. All right, let's taste it. I have a brand new bottle here. And these, let's see if this will show up on camera, have, in order to have the fully eco packaging, these are glass stoppers that are really cool. So you just press here on the side and it pops right off. God, you can already smell this, and I haven't even poured it. All right, I'm going to be reading the official tasting notes from the brand. Gosh, that nose is so powerful, just right out of the glass, right out of the bottle. Okay, on the eye, the brand describes the appearance as bright and transparent with a powerful body. Well, I don't know if I can tell if that's a powerful body, but it's certainly bright and transparent. All right, on the nose, intense aromas of cooked agave, vanilla, and caramel enhanced by the slow cooking process and floral and fruity notes and peaches, and an impossibly generous and round finish. All right, let's see how it smells. Oh, yeah. I should be no surprise that this has a big nose. As soon as I opened up the stopper, as soon as I poured the first glass, I could already start smelling it. Oh, that is a really nice nose. So I would definitely say it's got an intense nose of cooked agave. There's vanilla on there, but it's not, this is an additive-free tequila. So that vanilla is going to come just from the roasting of that agave. I don't know if I'm getting quite caramel. To my knowledge, this product doesn't receive any barrel aging like Herradura. It's just a silver unaged tequila. But there's definitely a lot going on in the nose. There's a powerful roasted agave scent, but there's some other things like that peach, that kind of white fruit. I could definitely see that on there. I mean, this is a pretty complex nose. And there's a lot going on. All right, the palate is described as rich flavors of cooked agave, vanilla, fresh fruit, and spices such as cinnamon. Let's give it our first sip. So this is my first sip of alcohol today. So I'm definitely going to let my mouth acclimate to the alcohol. I'll acclimate to the flavors. Right off the bat, not too boozy. There's good flavors of cooked agave. I'm still getting some of that vanilla, fresh fruit and spices. There's a little that fresh fruit and spice I definitely think is there. And I can definitely tell on that first sip that my palate is not quite capturing all the different flavors. That should be no surprise. This is my first sip of alcohol, and I definitely am going to need to acclimate my palate to both the alcohol and the flavors of tequila. So let's revisit it a second time. Now on second sip, I took a much larger sip, so I could really let it coat my full palate. This has a very clean taste. Good flavors of cooked agave, but there's a certain finesse to them. It's not, there's some boldness to the flavor, but the roasted agave flavors is not, it doesn't punch you right in the face. And I really think that the kind of layering of roasted agave, some kind of fresh fruit and spices, like each of these kind of come in waves and they stack up on each other. I would say the finish is a little short. We'll talk about pricing at the end, but for a tequila at this price point, it's kind of a short finish, but I almost feel like there's, again, like there is richness of flavor, but it's done in a kind of more subtle way. And I think I probably should have saved myself a third sip, but I got a lot of tequila to taste here on camera. But I feel like this is a product that maybe you want to revisit a couple times, and each different taste, you're going to, the flavor profile is going to give a little more. But I would say that's enjoyable. I'm a little disappointed by the finish, but I would say that the flavors on the palate definitely match the palate description from the brand. Rich flavors of cooked agave, vanilla, fresh fruit, and spices such as cinnamon. That vanilla, it's not like oak. There's no oak on this product to my knowledge. And so that vanilla might come, a lot of people are going to say vanilla flavors, come from additives. This is an additive-free tequila. So those flavors have to come from the agave. the sourcing of the agave, the cooking of the agave, the fermenting of the agave. And I would say that the descriptions of the palate definitely resonate true from what I'm experiencing. There's some finesse to this product. There's a cleanness, like it's got a very clean finish. It doesn't kind of hang. It's not heavy. And it's enjoyable enough. And it's got a pretty short finish. In my market, a 750 milliliter bottle of the Mijenta Blanco Tequila is going to retail between, let's call it $41 and $45. So just to put that in comparison, I think a benchmark tequila, especially silver tequila at this price point, is Lalo. So Lalo is going to retail right around there, call it 42 to 46. And so what I want to do before I let you guys know if I think this product is worth the money, I kind of want to taste it side by side with Lalo. And I think Lalo, it's a brand I love. It's a brand I fully endorse. And it's a brand that I think is an absolute benchmark of this price point. So if you'll indulge me, I'm going to taste these side by side. All right. God, there's so much vanilla. I can just smell it. Actually, I have a brand new bottle of Lalo here, little baby bottle. I know I need to stop biting my nails when I can't get the cellophane off. Ooh, all right. I would say they have similar intensities on the nose, but the Mijenta, which I have here in my right hand, probably has a slightly bigger nose, or at least that vanilla is a little more pungent. So I'm gonna taste the Lalo first. Actually, all right, I'm gonna taste the Mijenta first because it is perhaps about $1 cheaper, but Mijenta and Lalo definitely seem to play in the same community, right? It's the same type of nerdy tequila customer base, although Lalo has been one of the few brands that kind of has bridged the gap between mainstream commercial tequila drinkers and kind of boutique agave drinkers, which is really, really impressive that brand has been able to bridge that gap, which probably explains its massive popularity. But the Mijenta consumer, the Mijenta drinker is probably very similar to the Lalo drinker. So give or take, whatever markup your liquor store is using, they're about $1 of each other. So I'm going to take a small sip of the Mijenta, rinse my mouth with water, and then take another small sip of Lalo. So this is now my third sip of Mijenta Blanco. I would say that flavor profile really holds true even on that third sip. A lot of roasted agave, a lot of vanilla, and then those kind of supporting flavors of fresh fruit. You could almost say it's like the white fruit, like it described the white peaches on the nose, as well as a little bit of spice, which they're saying cinnamon. I could definitely see that. So I'm going to rinse my mouth with water. All right, let's try some Lalo, a brand I'm very, very familiar with. Ooh, God, Lalo's so good. So, listen, I drink a lot of Lalo, and I like Lalo a lot. But to me, this is about as unbiased tasting as as I can have, because I don't feel any over loyalty to either brands. But trying them side by side, I personally still really prefer the flavor profile of Lalo. I think it edges out Mijenta. Lalo is a lot more fruity and floral, while the Mijenta is more roasted agave and vanilla forward. And again, the Mijenta is certainly not bad, but my opinion is Lalo is better suited to my desired flavor profile, and I feel like it has a slightly longer finish. So if these products very much compete in the same price segment for the same type of drinker, I would recommend Lalo over Mijenta. I think if you already drink a lot of Lalo, then try Mijenta and see if you like it. I mean, that's the fun. Like if you're a tequila drinker, tequila enthusiast, I think that's the fun in finding a product you really like and then trying some similar products that kind of compete in that same space, that same price point, that same flavor profile. But if you can only buy one, if you can only buy one, kind of boutique additive free Blanco tequila, in that kind of, let's see, what's Lalo in my market? 42 to 46 and Mijenta's 41 to 45. So, that under $50, low 40s price point. My personal recommendation is Lalo, but I don't think you can go wrong with trying Mijenta if that flavor profile sounds desirable or you just want to try something new. Here's my little baby bottle of Lalo. If you're unfamiliar with Lalo, I made an entire video talking about the brand. It's got a really cool backstory. It's an incredible product for the money. And because I think Lalo is kind of the benchmark for this price point for Blanco tequilas, then I'm going to start comparing more tequilas. I'm going to start doing more side-by-side tastings with new products compared to Lalo. The Mijenta Blanco is going to retail in my home market of Oklahoma between $41 and $45. So do I think this product is worth $41 to $45? I would probably say no, and that's where I would recommend drinking. That's where I'd recommend buying Lalo. But if you're a customer that has already been drinking Lalo and you want something new and you don't mind a different style of flavor profile and you like everything the brand represents, then I think this product could be worth the money and you would not be disappointed. All right, next up is the Mijenta Reposado. So again, all the packaging on Mijenta is beautiful. So this bottle is also distilled. Let's see. Okay, so this bottle is distilled at NOM 1499, which is Casa Tequilero de Arandas, so same as the silver. And if I didn't mention earlier, all these products are going to be bottled at 80 proof or 40% ABV, at least here in the United States. All right, so we got glass topper again. All right, let's taste it. So, the Mijenta Reposado is aged for up to 6 months in a blend of American white oak, French oak, and French acacia casks. So 3 different types of oak aged up to 6 months. So this is aged 4 months longer than the category minimum, and they're using 3 different types of oak. And the use of French oak, especially French acacia casks, I've never seen that. That's going to make this product super unique, super complex, and super premium. The appearance is going to be a light golden hue, bright and transparent with a powerful body. I love how they just put a powerful body on all these. So you can see, let's see if this will autofocus. Nice color. The nose is described as a delicate and inviting vanilla nose with notes of bergamot, honey, preserved fruits, and orange blossom flowers. That sounds like a very enticing nose. It's funny, even though there's a lot going on in a lot of these super premium reposados, I feel like the noses are always a bit more muted than their silver counterparts. And I don't know if it's just because that those flavors of roasted agave are so pungent and they just jump right out of the glass. But this has a wonderful nose, but it is kind of restrained. Like it's not quite as big and bold as the Blanco. But I would definitely say you're getting vanilla, bergamot, honey, preserved fruits, and orange blossom flowers. I know it's a bit subjective, but I really think you could find some, if not all, those flavors, especially the orange blossom flower and that kind of really subtle honey and bergamot. You know, if you think of like those kind of masculine style candles, there's almost a little bit of bergamot in here. And I wonder if that comes from the playing around with that different combination of French oak and the acacia casks. All right, the palate is described as rich flavors of cooked agave, honey and vanilla, definitely seeing a pattern here, with a mid-palate of cocoa nibs and a long and generous finish on the palate. Let's give it a taste. Right off the bat, huge flavor. I mean, I drink a lot of Reposado tequila, especially Reposado tequila at this price point. For me, Reposado tequila is kind of my Goldilocks. I want some agave flavors. I want some barrel flavors. And this tastes like nothing I've ever had. I mean, I don't know what tequila aged in acacia barrels tastes like, but it has to taste like this because the flavors, the oak flavors I'm getting on the palate are so noticeably different than other Reposado tequilas I've drank at this price point. Big oak flavor, but it's unique. It's so different than you take the Herradura Reposado. Brown-Forman specializes in barrels, you know, and their barrel management is a big part of their flavor profile. And this just tastes night and day different. I mean, the use of French oak, especially acacia oak, is super unique and gives this a really different, interesting, and complex flavor profile. And that's just sip one. Sip one, I'm already like blown away. I'm like, this tastes really, really different. Gosh, I can't. Okay, let's revisit it. Let's revisit this. Mid-palate of cocoa, vanilla, honey, cooked agave. It's definitely very barrel forward for a Reposado. There's still some roasted agave flavors in there, but they're very subtle. I mean, this is very barrel forward, but not in a bad way. You know, it's not one dimensional by any means, but that the use of 3 different types of oak gives this such a level of complexity and interesting oak flavors that this is very enjoyable. And it does have a long finish. This has a dramatically longer finish than the Blanco. That's really good. That's really cool, really tasty, really interesting, really different. So let's talk pricing. I'm going to be quoting average retail price in my home market of Oklahoma. Obviously, every single market's different, so please check your local liquor store for pricing. So in my home market, the Reposado is going to retail somewhere between $60 and $66. So do I think this product is worth $60 to $66? I definitely do. You know, a lot of people, you know, won't like the idea of paying more than $50 for a super premium Reposado, but I think the use of French oak, the use of acacia oak, and then plus you start plugging in the additive free part, the sustainability component, all that factors into building the kind of prestige of this, but all those also do add costs. And it's a positive way of adding costs, you know, because to be environmentally unfriendly, you know, sometimes saves you quite a bit of money. So to make those decisions of being eco-conscious, you know, are certainly going to add to the price. And, you know, you have to keep that in mind when talking about these pricings. But man, just for flavor alone, and for anyone that's a kind of a Reposado nerd and they're going to like the use of 3 different types of oak, especially using acacia, French acacia oak, I think is super unique. No one's doing that. This is absolutely delicious. As a Reposado fan, I really enjoy this, and I really enjoy it because it's different. So I would say this product is definitely worth $60 to $66 for the right customer. If you are a customer who loves Reposados and you're looking for something new, something interesting, something dynamic, then I would highly recommend this product. If you spent between $60 and $66 with the right expectations, you would not be disappointed. If you are a customer that wants perhaps a more traditional Reposado, aged in just American oak, and you want it under 50, you obviously have plenty of options, so don't freak out. But if you want something new and interesting and you want a flavor profile that you've never experienced before and you don't mind spending over 50 and spending into the 60s, I think this product is definitely worth the money and you will not be disappointed. Next up is the Cristalino. So you can see slightly different packaging with the Cristalino. To describe the Cristalino, I'm going to reference some notes from the brand. Mijenta's Cristalino begins with our Blanco Tequila, which is aged for approximately 8 months in symphony barrels composed of oak from the forests of Virginia, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, and Missouri. Unlike other Cristalinos, Mijenta's exhaustively tested proprietary filtered method uses vegan charcoal to remove the color while preserving the depth of flavors and aromas developed in the barrels. Achieving this effect requires carefully balancing the filtration process, including precisely controlling the contact time and the flow and the amount of charcoal. Mijenta's Cristalino possesses the richness of an Añejo, drinks like a Reposado, and is perfect for cocktails that require a clear spirit like the martini. As we observe it in the glass, it is crystal clear. On the nose, it presents complex notes of maple, caramel, coffee, coconut, toffee, fruity notes of citrus and honey, and of course cooked agave. On the palate, we experience a bouquet of flavors that is sweet and silky, with enduring notes of coconut, vanilla, maple, chocolate, coffee, and cooked agave. I got a brand new bottle here. Just like the others, got the glass topper. All right, so we already know it's a Cristalino. It's going to be crystal clear in the glass. And then on the nose, it's going to be complex notes of maple, caramel, coffee, coconut, toffee, fruity notes of citrus and honey, and of course, the cooked agave. I would say this has a much more muted nose than either the Blanco or the Reposado. I think I'm getting definitely a little bit of that coconut. Some flavors of citrus and honey, I would definitely say. The maple caramel coffee, I would say maybe that maple caramel, but the flavors aren't jumping out of the glass and they're not hitting you in waves one after another, but they may be very different on the palate. All right, the palate is described the exact same. Complex notes of maple, caramel, coffee, coconut, toffee, fruity notes of citrus and honey, and of course, cooked agave. So let's give it our first sip. Definitely a lot going on in the palate compared to the nose. I would say the palate does hit you with those kind of waves of flavor, just one after another, where you are getting that kind of maple caramel, and then there's some maybe coffee, coconut, toffee, and then maybe it transitions into those kind of fruit forward notes, citrus, honey, cooked agave. I would say this is extremely tasty. This is extremely tasty just on that first sip, and there is a lot more complexity on the palate than I was getting on the nose. And again, I don't pretend to be the world's best, taster when it comes to the aromas, but I'm excited to try this again. This was really tasty. Not boozy at all. I mean, this is super drinkable, super smooth. but not smooth in a way where it's, basic. It's just drinkable. There's good complexity to this. With most aged tequila, you're looking for some sort of balance between barrel flavors and agave flavors. And I know a lot of people love to hate on Cristalinos. They see them as a gimmicky thing. They see them as gimmicky. But, I'm generally pro Cristalino. I think they have a very interesting place within the tequila segment, even if it is an unofficial place. And I think they're really fun for cocktails. So I think if you can get over the idea of removing the color that you spent so long to try to add to that particular spirit and just embrace it for what it is and just judge the flavors and the drinkability, then I think you can totally get behind Cristalinos. So now that I've tried this twice, I would say on the palate, the flavors much more closely match the flavors described by the brand than maybe what I got on the nose. And just to comment, the finish is a good finish on this. Like the Reposado, it's got a good long finish that hangs around and has a really nice positive finish. And the flavors aren't heavy. It finishes pretty clean and it doesn't hang on the palate, doesn't fatigue the palate. And, while it does have a long finish, it kind of leaves you ready for that next sip. So let's talk about pricing. All right. In my home market, the Cristalino retails somewhere between $82 and $88. So this is where I'm going to have to do some more fence riding. This product is delicious. Very tasty. Good complexity. A lot of positive flavors on there. Is it $82 to $88 tasty? And that is where it becomes purely subjective. I think if you have that kind of money to spend on tequila, the flavors that this product provides and the positive ethos that the brand represents in their production, especially from a sustainability component, I definitely think warrant that price. But that price isn't very inclusive, and there's plenty of other super drinkable, tasty Cristalino tequilas for a much lower price point. So this is where it becomes a bit subjective. If you can afford $82 to $88 on a Cristalino tequila, especially one that is youngest juice in the bottle makes this a Reposado Cristalino, then, I think it is worth it. But if you absolutely hate, if you absolutely can't imagine spending that kind of money on a Reposado Cristalino, there's plenty of other options, right? So, for this particular price point, I think it is very subjective. This product, no questions asked, is super drinkable, good complexity, very enjoyable. And I think that's what often gets lost in these particular tastings is this product enjoyable to drink? People talk about how complex it is, how long the finish is. This product is just straight up tasty and super drinkable, super enjoyable. But again, when you start getting in the $80 for a Reposado Cristalino, that's where you can be a bit more subjective and say okay, for customers with this level of disposable income, it definitely is worth it and you will not be disappointed. But for the customers that don't have that kind of disposable income, there's plenty of other delicious options available to you at much lower price points. All right, the final product is the Gran Reserva Añejo. And here's what the shipping container looks like. Absolutely beautiful box. Let's see if I can capture all this in one frame without knocking over my microphone. All right, look at that. Okay. Here's what the bottle looks like. Beautiful packaging, just like the rest of the portfolio. And let's see, this is also going to be distilled NOM 1499, which is Casa Tequilera de Randas. Additive free, carbon neutral, bottled at 80 proof for 40% ABV. Gran Reserva Añejo. And the bottle I have is number 3, 2023. All right, referencing my notes. Our Añejo Gran Reserva begins with our Blanco tequila, which is aged for a minimum of 18 months in American white oak, French oak, acacia cask, and cherry barrels before being blended to create our taste profile. As we observe it in the glass, it is full-bodied with an intense golden color and copper tones that shine vibrantly. On the nose, we find an elegant notes of cacao nibs with layers of butterscotch, cooked agave, and hints of tobacco. As we taste it, we find a smooth and velvety spirit with an array of complex flavors, ranging from dried fruits to spices and coffee. So this Añejo, it's more of a specialty Añejo, and 18 months in barrel, and it's going to be aged in American white oak, French oak, acacia cask, and cherry barrels. So 4 different types of oak, 18 months, specialty Añejo. I think this is going to be really special. And if I remember a story that the supplier told me about this, the Maestra Tequilera tried to order sherry barrels and through translation or accidentally received cherry barrels, and she decided to keep it. And then, the flavor profile must have been so good that that's something that she stuck with. Referencing the notes from the brand, I just have a few more talking points about this product. So, unique, rich, and balanced profile. Crafted to be an unparalleled ultra-premium tequila, our Añejo achieves the perfect harmony between its agave counterparts. Between its agave components and oak-flavored notes, this balance sets it apart from the predominantly wood flavor found in the majority of Añejos on the market. Quality over speed. We didn't cut any corners and created the Añejo from a small reserve of our Blanco. Despite producing lower yields, it is aged in handcrafted wood barrels for a longer period of time than the industry average. Lastly, Mijenta uses no additives to accelerate the finishing process. Lastly, rare and artisanal. Añejo is Mijenta's most exclusive expression to date, with a limited number of bottles produced in small batches. Crafted by one of the most respected tequila authorities in Mexico, our Añejo is a display in artistry that is priced truly as a rare tequila and not based off packaging or bottle. This luscious tequila will elevate any special occasion simply neat. That way you get to have a special relationship with Aranda's terroir and its angel share. It is the perfect companion to grilled and smoky proteins as well as earthy grains and vegetables. Furthermore, it will elevate dessert occasions with its cacao and soft tea notes. All right, here's a quote from Maestra Tequilera Ana Maria Romero. We developed a unique approach to create Mijenta Añejo Gran Reserva that makes it unlike any other aged tequila. The tequila matures in a selection of 4 bespoke casks. American white oak, French oak barrels that develop its flavor profile and texture. Acacia barrels enhance the body while adding a light herbal and citrus note. Finally, the cherry casks, as opposed to the more traditional sherry casks, enhance the fruity notes. After all that, I'm super excited to try this. I don't think I've ever tried this product before. Get the same glass cap. Fix my microphone. The appearance is described as full-bodied with an intense golden color and copper tones that shine vibrantly on the glass, unveiling a harmonious maturation process. Couldn't have put it any better myself. And you'll notice for 18 months in barrel, it doesn't have that much darker of a color than most reposados at this price point, which is probably a good thing, especially for an additive-free tequila. The nose is described as elegant notes of cacao nips, aromas with layers of butterscotch, cooked agave, and hints of tobacco. Ooh, yeah, very noticeable different nose than that reposado. It's much richer. I mean, that butterscotch, tobacco, cacao. You can definitely find all those, and it smells noticeably different than the reposado. The palate is described as smooth and velvety with an array of complex flavors ranging from dried fruits to spices to coffee. So let's give it our first sip. Ooh. that's really good. There's a lot of flavor there, but it's not big and bold. Like, it doesn't just jump out and smack you right in the face. It like slowly unveils its flavor. Like, it just little by little, one after another, kind of gives you those flavors in a very finesse-driven way. Ooh, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to revisit this. Definitely smooth and velvety. Definitely complex. Dried fruits, spices, and coffee. I would say that is absolutely spot on. That is a very accurate description of this. Long finish, not boozy at all. Super delicious, super enjoyable. Rich, but not in an overpowering way. Not like sickly rich. You know, some of those specialty añejos just feel like a bomb of stereotypical flavors. Whereas this is like, it's got some class to it, it's got some finesse, and it kind of gives you those complex flavors in little bite-sized increments with each sip. And again, this is aged for a minimum of 18 months in a blend of American white oak, French acacia cask, and cherry barrels. So not sherry barrels, literally cherry oak barrels, which is really cool and really unique. So now, with the Reposado, we saw the introduction of French oak and French acacia barrels, and then now for the specialty añejo, we're seeing those same French acacia oak barrels, but also the introduction of cherry oak, which is super cool and super unique. No one is doing cherry oak aged tequila, especially añejo tequila. So I think this really sets this product apart stylistically. All right, finally, let's talk pricing. So in my home market, the specialty añejo retails somewhere between $130 and $140. So well over $100, but you're still under $150. This is not an extra añejo, but it's a very complex, very interesting specialty añejo. So is this product worth the money? I'm going to put my flag in the ground and say that it is. I think this product is worth the money for the customers that can afford it, or for your kind of agave enthusiasts that have the palate and the interest to taste this and spend the kind of money to taste this product, because this is a noticeably different flavor profile compared to the other specialty añejos that I've had. You know, the Herradura Legend, Don Julio, 1942. This is crazy different than all those. And that's in a good way. I think this product is incredibly enjoyable. I think it's interesting. I think it's different. I think it's complex and dynamic. And I'm going to go ahead and make the statement that I think this product is worth the money. If you spent $130 to $140 on this product, and you are the type of drinker looking for something that this product offers, I think you will not be disappointed. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even learned something. Please give this video a like and consider subscribing. If you'd like to be notified whenever I have new content on my website or this YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my email newsletter. I'll leave a link below in the description. If you would like to support this channel further, please consider becoming a Patreon member or gift me a cocktail to the link below in the description. Thank you so much again for your support. If you don't care about the video component of these brand education and product tasting reviews, then please consider subscribing to my podcast. You can find it on Spotify, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you consume your podcasts. Thank you so much for your support. Finally, if you have some feedback for the channel or some recommendations of content that you would like to see, please leave me a comment or shoot me an email. I read every single email personally, and I try my best to respond to all of them. So if you would like to have a more in-depth conversation, shoot me an email. If you have some recommendations for future videos or improvements to this channel, please leave me a comment below. Thank you so much again for watching, and as always, please drink responsibly.